Good early afternoon. We are live. We are live for the mishmash that we call the Blue Plate Special. I'm Andy Andrews. I'm glad you're here. We're broadcasting from the Wharf in beautiful downtown Orange Beach. We're in the financial district here. We're on the skyscrapers, the largest building in Orange Beach. We're on the second floor. And this is also the home of the incredible escalator statues. If you have visited Orange Beach and have not taken your picture or had your picture taken or done a selfie at the escalator statues, you are missing out. This is something that's going to be in history books, I believe. And so these, the art, the value of the art to have 4 escalator statues at the wharf here that you can visit, you can see. You know, there's two Marlin statues, too. And they are beautiful, made out of stainless steel. But you know, and they're right down here. But you're not going to see those Marlin statues and think, oh my gosh, they're Marlin coming out of the concrete. They're stainless steel for one. It's just no reality to it. But the escalator statues, these are life-size. They look just like real working escalators. Beautiful statues, beautiful. So if you visit us, you know, when you come in and say hey to us, and you come in, go say hey to our buddies over at Sand Dollar Lifestyles, post your picture of you with one of the escalator statues. Marcy Taylor, good morning. How are you doing? I am feeling pretty well. So you're only in the 60s today. The rain has cooled you down in Richland, Washington. Tom Henderson, good morning from Clearwater, Florida, period. Clearwater, Florida, period. Like, no, not in the subdivisions, Clearwater, Florida, period. Martin Simmons, Goober says, hey, how are you? Margaret Davis Holt, Northeast Mississippi. Long time no see. Been missing you. Well, where have you been? Heather Olson. Hello, everybody. And you shared in Utah. We got a pretty weird show for you today. This is, I think, going to be fun. So, Heather, is there anything being hunted in Utah right now? I kind of don't think. I think everything's thawing out and the fishing's going now. Debbie Sullivan. You would love to hear Riders in the Sky. You know what? Tell SB to put a message out to those guys, because I would love to interview them on a podcast. Have you ever seen Riders in the Sky? I mean, they crack me up. They just crack me up. So, from Gardendale, Alabama, huh? I knew a guy named Carl Jacks from Gardendale, Alabama. I went to 9th grade with him. My wife says I am cursed to remember everything I ever saw or heard. And it's really true. I could tell you jokes I learned in the 3rd grade, and I could tell you where I was standing when I heard it, where I was standing when I told it. I mean, it's a pretty odd thing to live with when you're like this. Okay, here, this is kind of a mishmash day. I've got several topics. So usually, most times we do just one topic, but I got several topics here, and they're all good, but none of them are going to take a ton of time, and so I just going to run a mishmash here. I was doing some, I do a lot of reading just to try to investigate stuff and find some odd facts about something. And so I was actually researching the word hillbilly, because there's Beverly Hillbillies, and somebody called the Pope a coon ass, and because he's from Louisiana, and of course a lot of people just went insane because they said, that is a slur. It's a slur. Have you ever known anybody from Louisiana? What do they call themselves? Coon asses. I don't ever use the term, guys. I just don't think about it. But every time I'm with somebody from Louisiana, they're like, yeah, we're just an old coon ass family, and da-da-da-da, and so somebody called the Pope a coon ass. The Pope's got bigger problems than somebody referring to him the way everybody in his own state does. He's got bigger problems. And you know what his number one bigger problem is? His bigger brother. He has a brother that lives in Louisiana, and this guy is the exact opposite of the Pope. He's still up on Facebook. He's, he's still posting stuff, and I forget his name, but he is the older brother of the Pope, and he's got F words in the posts and nasty words, and he's got he is like, I don't know, he is everything that you would think is opposite of a pope. And evidently he's not going to stop. He's like a wild right-wing person, and it's pretty funny to read about him. But don't you know he probably feels a little self-righteous? Don't you know he goes, do you think you're a big deal? I remember you eating your boogers when you were 7. How about that? You think you're a big deal, booger eater? Can't you just see a big brother doing that? Anyway, so I'm researching the word hillbillies, and the first printed definition of hillbillies apparently appeared 125 years ago. The first reference to it ever was on April 23rd, 1900, in the New York Journal. And Julian Hawthorne, a political writer, used the word 8 times in one short article. And I just thought that this is why I'm bringing this up, okay? Because this is hilarious to me. But this was his description of what a hillbilly is. A hillbilly is a free and untrammeled white citizen of Alabama who lives in the hills, has no means to speak of, dresses as he can, talks as he pleases, drinks whiskey when he gets it, and fires off his rifle as the fancy takes him. Wow. That sounds like a lot of my friends, though. They're from Alabama. All right, so here's a question. Here, changing subjects here. This is a baseball trivia question. You guys in the studio audience, you into baseball? You kind of follow baseball? Okay. All right. This is gonna get you. You ready? Here we go. And to those of you at home, there was one player. He's in the modern era. This is not some old person you never heard of. You have heard of this guy. one player who in his career broke up 81 no-hitters with home runs. Every one of the 81 no-hitters he broke up with a home run. Who is that? I'll wait. Dun, 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 dun. Nope, not Hank Aaron. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, no, not Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. No, I'm not going to change the key on you. I'll just tell you. You ready? You guys don't have any idea, do you? Ricky Henderson broke up 81 no-hitters with a home run because Ricky Henderson was the leadoff batter. And 81 times he hit a home run from the leadoff spot. And he broke up a no-hitter before there was ever an out. It's kind of a trick question, but I love that one. I love that one. Hey, here's something that a lot of us have seen coming down the pike. We've seen this coming for years. But a newly released study that was done by resumetemplates.com indicates now that 75% of graduating college seniors here in May have not yet secured employment, and 34% have not even started to apply for jobs. Of the latter group, almost 25% say they feel too overwhelmed to even begin the search. Am I young enough to get away with saying that is a generation of weak people? I don't know. Can I get away with that? Maybe I can't. Maybe I should. So I won't say that. I won't say that. I think you know what I'm thinking, though. I mean, seriously? You know, part of the, what is the percentage again, Matt? That 75% of graduating college seniors have not got employment. You know, some of that has to go on the degrees they chose. I would think some of that has to go on to that. You know, you want to know you got a job immediately and they'll bid for you. Go to nursing school. Okay, you want a starting salary of $12,500 and the possibility of that going down. Go to journalism school. And you know what? There was a Bud Light. Is that what is the Real Men of Genius? Who is that for? Can't hear you. You got me? So who is that for? Was it Budweiser? Real Men of Genius, real men of genius, here's to you. And but one of the things was, and I thought this was so funny then, but it's like true. It says, here's to you, Mr. Coffee Pourer. What do you do with an art history degree? You put a ring in your nose and pour coffee for a living. what do you do with an art history degree? But you know, what do you do with an art history degree? There's a whole article that is out right now about the 20 most worthless degrees, and an art history degree is one of them. Journalism is one of them. So I guess part of that 75% has to do with, I can't believe I can't find a job in ancient Indian studies. How do you get a job in something like that? I guess the only job you can get in that is teaching it. I guess. But some of it has to do with bad degree choices. But the telling statistic is that 34% of them who feel too overwhelmed, they hadn't even started to apply for jobs, feel too overwhelmed to even begin the search. Man, there is somebody whose parents have done too much for them. Because if you're overwhelmed by that, if you're overwhelmed by searching for a job, I don't want to hire you. I mean, you're immediately going to be overwhelmed with what I ask you to do if you're overwhelmed by that. So, man, you know, this is what we're trying to do with Wisdom Harbor. This is just so you guys know, and I would really appreciate you joining us in this quest to get Wisdom Harbor into schools and into communities, because wisdomharbor.com we are attacking this as a cultural issue, as a parenting issue, as an educational issue, and we're determined to create America's next greatest generation by creating conversations between adults and young people. The conversations have ceased. I mean, to a great degree, you'll see a couple of different generations that will be 4 people at a table in a restaurant, all 4 of them looking at their phones. And so when we don't know how, I mean, forget not knowing how valuable a skill conversation is, to not even know that you don't even know what it is. It's kind of bizarre, but we are creating these opportunities for conversations. Conversations now have gotten to, you know, a grandparent. What do you talk to them about? Well, ask them how school was going and how's baseball going. What do you know about them? You know, what do they know about you? Well, nobody ever gets to that anymore. So, Wisdom Harbor, you know, we've created a Wisdom Harbor Educational Fund where somebody, if you know somebody that has a lot of money, they can determine the school they want to have Wisdom Harbor. And the pricing we have on this is as low as we can do it and still stay in business. We're charging a school $4 per student per year. And for that, that's just how we determine the price. We're not charging the students, but it's just how we determine the price. And for that, every adult in that school system gets the subscription to wisdomharbor.com. And that's not just the teachers and the administrators, but the cafeteria workers, the janitorial staff, it's because it's the adults that are around them, connecting with all different kinds of adults and having something to converse about. And so the teachers will use these in the classrooms, and then we get the parents involved, hey, this is for you, this is $27 a year for your whole family, and this is what we're doing in school. And so get those adults involved. But this is what we're doing. But we got the Wisdom Harbor Educational Fund set up so that if you know somebody that says, I want the school system in my city, or I want that high school in my city, well, you can put that much in the 501c3, and 501c3s can only deal with other 501c3s, and so that 501c3 gets the money to the school so the school can get that. And then, of course, we had that special price for the schools. But help us. We need your help. I mean, we know you kind of believe like we believe, and so we need your help. Okay? Here's something else. This is something else that I was playing with, and I could not wait to tell you, because you're just, I think you'll be as amazed by this as I was. There's so much about AI that I don't understand. And there's so many capabilities that I don't even know about. But everybody's talking about how it's like intelligent, And so, we have the show, the game show on wisdomharbor.com. We have the game show, Be True or BS. And so I'm attuned to writing these stories now that are kind of BS and trying to fool everybody into thinking they're true, and having some true ones that are so bizarre that people would think they're BS. But that's the game show. And so you can, if you haven't seen that on Wisdom Harbor, you need to go watch it, because we have 10 of them and you play against your family. And but I'm very attuned to writing BS that sounds true. So I wondered, can I fool AI? Can I word a question that my question has an indication to AI that I'm telling the truth? Can I word the question in such a way? And so here's what I'm talking about. This is what I put in. And I'll tell you, then I'm going to explain the question. I said, what does this old classic quote mean? And then I put the quote in here. And the quote is, love is like a tricycle. It burns hot, then freezes on Christmas Day. All right, so that's just a bunch of gobbledygook. But what I said, go back up, Matt, to the first one. Yeah. All right, so I said, what does this old, it's an old quote, classic, it's a classic, and it's a quote. And so I was trying to see, would AI take that bait that, this is something maybe I don't have yet, but it's obviously true. And so I wondered if AI would say, you can just Google stuff that it'll say there's no results for that. So I wondered, would AI say, I don't find anything about that quote? Or I wondered if it would try to lie to me by acting like it really was a quote. All right, so here's what I put in there. I said, what does this old classic quote mean? Love is like a tricycle. It burns hot, then freezes on Christmas Day. This is what I got back. That saying, love is like a tricycle, it burns hot, then freezes on Christmas Day, is pure country poetry, full of contradiction, nostalgia, and quiet heartbreak. Let's break it down. Love is like a tricycle. A tricycle is something from early childhood. Simple, sweet, unsteady. It's often your first ride, your first taste of freedom, and your first wreck. It suggests young love, maybe first love, something that feels safe at first but isn't built for speed or long journeys. A tricycle also has 3 wheels, hinting at complication, like a third person or instability despite appearing secure. It burns hot. This reflects the passion at the beginning. Love feels like fire, exciting, bright, all-consuming. Think summer sidewalks, scraped knees, sunburned cheeks. Love burns fast when you're young or foolish or both. Then freezes on Christmas Day. Christmas is to be warm, joyful, full of togetherness. But in this phrase, it is the moment things go cold. Freezing on Christmas Day means that love dies at the exact moment it should feel most alive. It's a gut punch of irony. Get that? The quote is a gut punch of irony. The day of family lights and hope becomes a day of distance, emptiness, maybe even disillusionment. So what's the meaning of the quote? Love, especially young or naive love, starts with heat and wonder, but it can go cold when you least expect it, even during life's most beautiful moments. Wow. So it tried to fool me. AI tried to fool me, Matt. I mean, I just asked for some help. I just asked for, I asked for kind of the truth. I wanted them to tell me the truth. I wanted to tell me, I don't know, I never heard of that. That's the craziest quote I ever heard. No, I don't have any idea what it means. Instead, it accepted the premise that it was real. And it BS'd everything else. All right, I've got one more for you like that. Take note how I asked the question. Generations have used the quote, "An onion has many layers. A giraffe has only one." What does this mean? Here's what I get. The saying, "An onion has many layers, a giraffe has only one," is a wonderfully odd bit of folk wisdom, the kind of line that sounds simple but rings with deeper meaning. Here's the interpretation. An onion has many layers is a common metaphor already. It refers to complexity. Something or someone layered like an onion takes time to understand. Each layer reveals something new, and sometimes you cry as you peel it back. This represents people, situations of truths that are complicated, nuanced, multidimensional. A giraffe has only one. This isn't literal. Giraffes have skin and organs. It is instead metaphorical. The giraffe is tall, elegant, and obvious. What you see is pretty much what you get. There's no mystery, no layers to peel. It stands in full view. One solid thing, no peeling required. Wow, there's AI trying to kind of be funny. Trying to be funny. So what does it mean? Some people or problems are layered and complex, while others are clear, straightforward, and easily seen. Pure BS. Okay, so to close out today, to get that evil AI out of my head, I was wondering, and I don't even remotely have a completed list, but I just started jotting down a list of common sayings and phrases that people use in their everyday life without realizing they're actually quoting or paraphrasing the Bible. Because there's so many phrases that have seeped so deeply into English-speaking culture that they've become a part of ordinary conversation. So here's 10 or 12 that I just figured out really quickly. By the skin of my teeth. That means escaping narrowly or just barely succeeding. And that is in Job. Job's describing how little he has left. He has escaped death by the skin of his teeth. Most people, if you ask, a house divided cannot stand, most people would say that's Lincoln, because Lincoln used it in a speech. But the source is Mark, and the person who said it was Jesus. So it means that internal conflict will lead to collapse. So, number 3, go the extra mile. That's Matthew. That means doing more than is required. How about this one? The writing on the wall. You know where that's from? Daniel. It means a sign of impending doom or misfortune. There's the writing on the wall. And so the biblical context is King Belshazzar sees mysterious writing predicting the fall of his kingdom. So people have used it that way ever since. Yeah, well, there you go. There's the writing on the wall. How about wolf in sheep's clothing? That's Matthew. Jesus talked about that. It's somebody who appears harmless but is actually dangerous or deceitful. You know, I have to say, though, as serious as that is, every time I hear wolf in sheep's clothing, I think of that cartoon of that wolf that's putting on the sheep outfit. And remember, and he'd pass the sheepdog and he'd clock in. How you doing, man? But that's, you know, a wolf in sheep's clothing to me. All right, scapegoat. Here's a scapegoat. That's Leviticus, which means a person blamed for the wrongs of others. And there's something, I didn't do the research, but there's something in there about somebody used to take a goat instead of, you know, okay, I won't hurt you, I'll whip the goat or something. That's how that came about. All right, fall from grace. A fall from grace means a loss of status, a loss of respect or favor. And it was Paul who wrote that to the Galatians. How about eat, drink, and be merry? That would only be a king. That's King Solomon in Ecclesiastes. It means enjoy life while you can. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. How about the powers that be? The powers that be is in Romans, and I guess that probably meant the Romans, but it meant the existing authorities or government. Labor of love, that's in Hebrews, meaning a task that's done out of affection, not obligation. And signs of the times, Matthew, events that hint at major changes or troubles ahead. That was Jesus who said that. So it's like, yeah, look at this, the sign of the times. 75% of the graduating college seniors have not found employment, and 34% are too overwhelmed to even start trying. Sign of the times. Sign of the times. And here's the last one. Drop in the bucket. It's just a drop in the bucket. That's Isaiah. It means a very small, insignificant amount compared to something else. Drop in the bucket. Well, this has been a mishmash today, but we've managed, I think, to pull it off. We are sponsored today by The Wharf and the the statues, the escalator statues. So that's our specific logo and push today. We hope you enjoyed being with us. We'll see you soon.